Assalamu alaikum. In the last video, we have successfully completed the chapter Money and Credit, and today I am going to discuss NCERT exercise with you, as well as I will provide it in the link below, comment description box. You will get link in the description box below. Well, after NCERT questions, there are a few more additional questions, so sometimes we refer them as practice questions. Those also I will provide. More now about notes. Generally, you will have questions about notes as well as questions. So notes you will get in your group as well. Now let's discuss about the first question. So first question is, in situation with high risk, credit might create further problems from the borrowers. We have seen two different situations of different types of borrowers. If you remember our first story, we have seen case study, we have seen of Salim, entrepreneur. Second, about Swapna, lady farmer, very small farmer. So in first case, we have seen the positive effects of credit, and in the second one, we have seen the negative impact of credit. Means first case, credit remained beneficial, and in second one, that credit left worsen. So let's describe here. In situations with high risk, credit might create further problems for borrowers. Credit involves a certain amount of loan that is taken by borrower from a lender at high interest rate, like Swapna. In case there is a failure and borrower faces loss, then he further falls in the trap of credit, because he failed to repay the loan day by day, month by month, that interest amount becomes higher and higher. So in this case, borrowers fail to repay, so that we refer it as grasp of debt trap. This is known as a debt trap. The borrower has to repay the credit along with the interest applied by the lender, and he further falls into debt trap of credit, increasing the problem of borrower. So this situation actually increasing problems of borrowers. The borrower also has to sell part of his or her land or some assets to repay the loan. In the case of Swapna, we have seen already she had to sell her land to repay her debt. So this is the situation where credit would in the worst situation, negative part, negative tendency. Second question. How does money solve the problem of double coincidence of bonds? Explain with example of your own. Now there is a question. How to give example of your own? We can give, we can create, you can create. But there is a condition. If you have all the understanding regarding a particular topic or particular matter, particular thing, you may easily put the example, right? Instantly. No need to remember certain examples or certain, because example of your own, that is the most easiest way and the best way of writing economics, answering questions of economics, examples. But when can we give examples of our own? Only if we have understanding. So very first thing that necessary to understand about a particular concept. So here concept is about the barter system, and the essential feature of barter system is double coincidence of wants. So let's say first what is double coincidence of wants, then later we can give an appropriate example. Double coincidence of wants is when whatever a person desires to sell is exactly what the other wishes to buy, and at the same time that other person wishes to sell. Seems complicated? Actually, it's not. Okay, before telling you points of the answer, explaining points of answer, let me explain this barter system in brief. Already we are discussing detail in the regular explanation video. Barter system. So there is system of exchange. Why this is difficult? Because a farmer wants shoe, a pair of shoe, and he has surplus of rice, but the cobbler doesn't want rice, he wants cloth. So in this system, transaction is not possible without money. There is double coincidence of wants, both the side. Alright. So in the barter system, where goods are directly exchanged without the use of money, double coincidence of wants is an essential feature. Money solves the problem of double coincidence of wants, because after the introduction of money, people could use money as an intermediate to buy or sell things and services, and no specific buyer or seller was required for interchanging the goods and services. That means, like a farmer wants to buy a pair of shoes. In that case, farmer can sell his surplus, that means rice, to the local mandi or to the shop or to the trader, and in exchange he can get money. And now modern forms of money like currency notes he can get, or bank deposits, right? So he can utilize those currency notes or bank deposit, that means money, to purchase shoes, that means his needs, from the cobbler or from the shop. So problem solved. So here one example also given, one more example. For example, a trader wishes to sell 10 sacks of rice and expect to get in exchange for 5 sacks of cereal or wheat. To find suitable buyer to sell the sacks of rice in exchange of cereal or wheat, he would be very tough. He have to find that person that who wants to buy rice and wants to sell, same person wants to buy rice and wants to sell wheat or cereal. That is much difficult. However, the money will solve this problem, and the trader can sell the sacks of rice to someone who needs it in exchange of money, and in return cereals from the money can get from other seller. So problem solved by. So this is what we call double coincidence of wants. Next, question number 3. How do banks mediate between those who have surplus money and those who need money? Explanation of this topic is also given clearly in the previous video. So if you haven't watched the video, please go through all the videos. That is my advice, and actually I insist on it. Yeah, after watching video, feel to understand. If you have any doubt, I am here for you always. You can send your query in the comment section below, as well as you can send message to me through the helpline number. So I'll come for you. Right? I'll be there for you. So feel free for any question, any query, or something else. Okay? So question is, how do banks mediate between those who have surplus money and those who need money. This is how the commercial banks earn. So banks mediate between those who have surplus fund. Who are they? Remember a figure drawn on the board? Depositors. Those who have surplus. Those who have more money than they require, more than their need. Right? That is called additional surplus. So those who have surplus, depositors. And those who are in need of money. Those who need of money, those who want to take loan, those are borrowers. So by lending money to people who are in need, people can open account in banks, and banks make use of money to fulfill the loan of requirement of the people. That means bank collect deposit from people, those who have surplus, depositors, right? And some portion, some part of some percentage of those deposits bank keep as cash deposits for daily cash transactions. So now surplus, again surplus with bank, additional with bank. So what does bank do with it? So banks utilize those money for the people, those who need. That means for the borrowers. So banks give loan to the borrowers by using that money only. Banks generally do not have lots of money of their own, but they utilize that mostly deposits. So in the case of India, a higher interest rate is charged to whom? Borrower, and the lower interest rate paid to whom? Depositors. And the gap between the interest rate paid by the bank and the interest rate charged by the bank. So the difference between them, that is a profit of bank. Actually a major source of income of bank. Now next question. This question is for you. This is a kind of practical question. So I am going to tell you, and this is going to give you some guideline. Look at the 10 rupees notes. What is written on the top? Can you explain the statement? Statement is given. And one more I would like to add here. Who signed on that note? Who gives guarantee? This is all you need to find. You can take 10 rupees of note or any other amount, because most of art are similar. Right? So provide the detail of a particular note. Just mention that which note used by you, and later this description. Alright? Next. Why do we need to expand formal sources of credit in India? This question is as a brief question here. In additional question, I will take this as a long question. You know, here many times I said that in social science there are not boundaries, that like circle. I always used to say that there is no circle here. This particular question is fixed into frame. So this question is that type only. No, it's not like that. Here we concentrate, we focus on topic. Particular topic. So any kind of question can be extracted from that particular topic. Right? So that is why we focus on understanding, as I mentioned in the beginning of chapter, this question answers as well. So here, why do we need to expand formal sources of credit? I am going to explain you in brief, as brief here. In detail I will explain you if required in long question, in extra questions, or I will provide you it. Alright? So let me explain you in brief. Formal sources of credit. What are formal sources? Commercial banks, cooperative societies, and registered financial organizations. So you can give example. Write example by your own. Commercial banks, give examples of commercial banks. Cooperative societies, give examples of cooperative societies. And I said third one, some other registered financial organizations which are under the Reserve Bank of India, under monitoring of Reserve Bank of India. Give the examples. Already given by me, I will show them. So, formal sources of credit are the government authorized organization, sanctioned by the government. not owned by government, government authorized them, sanctioned by the government. So of course monitored by RBI. So organizations that are eligible to lend money to the people. It is important to expand formal sources of credit in India because the informal sources are not registered and lend money to people at very high interest rate, which is unfair and must not be practiced because of informal sector of credit that people actually get into trouble. Many times we actually listen from news or read in the newspapers about again I am bringing the issue because according to my point of view this is one of the most burning issue of India about suicide of farmers because farmers actually for the Indian economy one of the most important occupation that is agriculture related. And actually those who feed us, farmers feed us, they provide us food. Because we are not industrial with that much developed, we are not eligible like other countries like Singapore or England or others, so we cannot import from other countries. That is not feasible for us, for this population. So we need food by our own, self-sufficient. Farmers make us self-sufficient. And those who feed entire country, those people are in trouble. They have to commit suicide. And the main reason behind this, there is debt trap. Because when they fail to repay the money, don't have anything to pay them, and so informal sector, we know that I mentioned before that they use unfair means for repayment of their loan. So this way they ultimately caught in a situation like that, difficult or like impossible to come out from this. So ultimately they take this kind of action. They shouldn't take, but we cannot understand their situation. We can only just discuss about it. So continue with it. If formal sources of credit are increased, people will be able to borrow money at lesser interest rate and will not be liable to do any extra work for borrowers. Because when we take money from the banks or formal sector of credit, we only have to pay them interest. Yeah, if we have to pay some charges if we fail to repay our loan or something else. Otherwise, just pay them interest and then money. That's all. We are not bounded by any other terms and conditions. And especially in India, if formal sources of credit are increased, people will be able to take loan and use them for development of themselves. Development of themselves is development of economy. So that is why we need expansion of the formal sector of credit. Now here, what is the basic idea behind SHG for the poor, self-help group? Answer? The self-help groups have been set in India with an aim to help the rural poor, especially women. Second point, a typical self-help group comprises 15 to 20 people from the same neighborhood, generally same neighborhood, who save some money from their daily wages, their income, and collect them together. Next, people they conduct meeting regularly and save their money regularly. Next, people can borrow money from this group member. People means member of this group. This group during an emergency or when they are in need. They charge a minimum rate of interest from borrowers. Next, once the SHGs manage to save a defined amount of money, they are also able to get loan from the banks, SHG groups. The main purpose of introduction of this SHG, self-help groups, was to increase small-scale employment opportunities for the rural people so that they could start small business to earn their livelihoods. Those people are poor, so they are not able to get loan directly from the bank. In bracket, we can write due to lack of collateral and regular income. But with the help of SHG group or through SHG group, those people can borrow money from the banks. Those are the aims. You can take it as a brief note on SHG groups. Alright, if in detail few points we have to add more, like about the meetings, benefits, how do they make decisions. Certain points we add if in long question. Next, what are reasons why the banks might not willing to lend to certain borrowers? Why? Reasons: first, some people fail to provide the required set of documents to get a loan. Documents required, some people fail to provide. Second, irregular wages and no fixed job is also reason because it increases chances of non-repayment of loan, which I explained you earlier. Third one, certain borrowers are added to the list of NPAs, not eligible people, blacklist. Next, there is high risk of approving loan to entrepreneurs. One more we can add that due to lack of collateral. Now, question number 8. In what ways does the Reserve Bank of India supervise the functioning of banks? Why is this necessary? So, the Reserve Bank of India is Central Bank of India, and all the other public banks work under supervision of Reserve Bank of India. It manages the functions of banks in the following way. First, it monitors the banks in maintaining the cash balance. RBI mandates cash balance. Banks have to keep a minimum percent of cash balance with them. That is mandatory. Second, loans are not just given to profit-making organizations, but also to small cultivators and small-scale industries. Third, RBI maintains a periodic report of other banks regarding the amount loaned people. Next, it also keeps regular check on interest rate set for loans in public sector banks. Those are some of the basic functions regarding the supervisory function of banks by the Reserve Bank of India. The next question, analyze the role of credit for development. Other words, we can say that cheap and affordable credit is crucial for the development of country. This question I will explain and provide you in extra question because already provided in detail. Here as brief but in detail already provided. Next question, question number 10. Manav needs loan to set up small business. On what basis will Manav decide whether to borrow them from bank or the money lender? This is a kind of case study. You have to discuss the problem. So suppose you are a person who wants to set up a small business. So from which sector would you like to take loan? You don't have much capital, you need to take loan. From where you prefer to take loan? That we all need to explain. Let's see how. Manav wants to set up a small business. He needs to keep the below mentioned things in mind while deciding whether to take loan from the formal sector or informal sector. How? He needs to compare interest rate charged by both banks and money lenders. Very first, the basic things we check, that is interest rate. Second, he needs to analyze whether he has all eligible documents required to get loan from the formal sector. Then only loan can be approved. He has to check whether collateral is available to him or not. Fourth one, how he wishes to repay the lender, because banks sometimes have limited options. Money lenders can provide you lots of options on your and his convenience. Next question 11. In India, about 80% of farmers are small farmers. Earlier we have seen who need credit for cultivation. Small farmers who are those who need credit for cultivation. So there are three ABC, three questions given. First, why might banks be unwilling to lend small farmers? Very simple answer. Banks might be unwilling to lend money to small farmers because there are high risks. If the harvest get ruined, fail, there is possibility that they might not able to pay. They might not able to pay the installment on time, loan on time. They may not able because income they don't have income how to pay. Second, continuity sub point. Also, proper documentation is required for getting a loan from bank, which might not be available with small scale farmers, those who are poor, those who are illiterate, they are lacking of documents. And we can add one more thing, collateral. Small farmers sometimes they don't have enough land to give as collateral. So these are the main problems. Next, B, 11B. What are the other sources from which the small farmers can borrow? So if they are not able to take loan from formal sector, from where do they take loan? Other sources. So small farmers can move to informal sources of credit if they are not borrowing money from a bank. These informal sources of credit include money lenders and agriculture traders. Next, C, 11C. Explain with an example how the terms of credit can be unfavorable for small farmers. So answer, when small scale farmer borrows money from a bank, he has to repay the amount at a fixed rate of interest. For example, if a farmer borrows money from the bank, during the harvest season his crops are ruined, then he shall not able to repay the amount loaned him by the bank, and he will further fall into that trap. How to pay the loan if there is no income? Difficult situation. The situation of millions of people in India due to this pandemic and this lockdown and due to that recession in economy. Similar situation to the farmers. Next, objective types of questions. Suggest some ways by which small farmers can get cheap loan. From where small farmers can get cheap loan. You can write formal sector, that is acceptable. You can write banks, cooperative societies, registered financial organizations. Both are acceptable, but I always insist to write in the best possible way. So, how to write? Small farmers can get cheap loan or cheap credit by the formal sources of credit like banks, cooperative societies and registered financial organizations. A perfect one mark answer, no risk of reduction. Reduction of marks in exam. Fill in the blanks. First, majority of credit needs to blank household are made from informal sector. Poor, difficult for poor sector. Now those objective types of question, I prefer you people find by yourself. At least finding yourself you will check something. Notes I will provide you as soon as possible, and here explanation of NCERT question is completed. So for writing purpose, I hope you watch this video with enthusiasm, and I hope you understood about the questions. But I provide you separate documents for writing the answers in your regular notebook. So wait for the document.